You wake up one morning and the silence feels different. Not peaceful. Wrong. No signal. No cars. No voices. You are the last human alive. But the real answer to what happens next is far stranger than any movie has shown you. Your ancestors did not survive as individuals. They survived as groups. A lone human on the savannah 200,000 years ago was not a survivor story. It was a death sentence. No group meant no shared vigilance, no shared food, no one to carry you when injured. Evolution built you to be strong together, then convinced you the strength was yours alone to keep. This is why isolation hurts like a wound, not just a feeling. Social rejection lights up the same brain regions as a broken bone. Not a similar sensation, the same circuitry. Your brain never built a separate alarm for loneliness because for most of human history, loneliness and death were the same emergency. Day one alone feels almost like freedom. No traffic, no noise, no deadlines. Day 30, you're talking to yourself just to hear a voice. Any voice. Why does silence get louder the longer you sit in it? Long-term isolation raises stress hormones, wrecks sleep, and ages the brain at a pace close to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Your body cannot tell the difference between a hostile world and an empty one. Both read as danger. Prisoners held for years in solitary confinement have described something even stranger than fear. Hallucinations. Panic that comes from nowhere. A loss of self so complete that some could no longer picture their own face. Without another person to reflect you back to yourself, the mind starts losing its grip on where it ends and the emptiness begins. So the last human alive would not mainly struggle with hunger or shelter. Those problems have solutions: traps, stored food, four walls. The unsolvable problem would be a mind turned inward with nothing left to bounce off of. Your identity was never private property. It was always co-authored, one conversation at a time. There's an old experiment with infant monkeys that makes this stranger still. Given a choice between a wire mother offering food and a cloth mother offering only softness, the babies chose comfort, clinging to the cloth even while starving. Contact mattered more than survival itself. What does that tell you about a species that built entire civilizations on the need to not be alone? Every apocalypse story shows the last human as resourceful, resilient, a hero scavenging through ruins with quiet determination. But resourcefulness was never the hard part of being human. Connection was. Take away every other person and you don't just lose company. You lose the mirror that built your entire sense of self. This is why extreme isolation produces one very specific symptom: sensed presence. People stranded alone, whether in solitary confinement, on polar expeditions, or in deep space, report feeling someone standing just behind them, even when no one is there. Your brain, starved of human signal, invents one from nothing, so the last human alive would not slowly become a stronger, self-sufficient version of themselves. They would come undone, not from weakness, because the human mind was never a solo system. It was always a network node, and a node with no other nodes left doesn't become independent. It becomes noise. Here is where the story bends back toward you. You are not the last human alive. Someone is a phone call away. And yet, millions of people today report the same core symptoms as extreme isolation while surrounded by other people. Loneliness has quietly become common in modern life, not because humans vanished, but because the quality of connection did. Why? Because your brain was never counting bodies in a room. It was counting attention, recognition, the feeling of being truly seen. A crowded subway car can feel more isolating than an empty forest because your ancient alarm doesn't respond to proximity. It responds to belonging. You can scroll through hundreds of faces before breakfast and still feel like the last human alive in every way that matters to your nervous system. The real apocalypse isn't the one with empty streets. It's the one where the streets are full and the connection is missing anyway. So maybe the real question was never what would happen if you were the last human alive. Maybe it's how many people today already feel that way, surrounded by billions who could prove that alarm wrong. You wake up one morning and the silence feels different, not peaceful, wrong. But this time, it isn't because everyone is gone. It's because you never let anyone truly hear you in the first place.